So a typical day in the life of a SCITT student is one spent in school. That might sound like a really obvious place to start, but I do think it's a really important point to start on because a lot of other teacher training courses focus on the academic side of things. There'll be a lot of looking at literature and reading about what other teachers do well. With Stockton SCITT, it's so much less about that and so much more about doing the actual thing itself, even if that means getting it wrong. I will say that a typical Stockton SCITT day involved many mistakes on my part, and that was a natural part of the process, something that was always emphasised to me. So you can expect absolutely to be quite early on getting into schools, experiencing what it's like, mucking in for yourself, making mistakes, but that's okay, and generally with each passing day, building up that experience until you're at a point where you're feeling really confident. So one of the reasons I was able to enjoy SCITT so much was because actually going into it, I'm a terribly disorganised person, and I've always felt that that was going to be a big barrier between me and getting into education properly. Stockton SCITT's training course is really, really well organised, which made it incredibly easy for me to follow along and know what I should be doing. But more than that, they identified that organisation was a skill that I was going to need to work on. And so I had a lot of tailored support to help me figure out what the best ways to organise myself were. What this meant was I went through the Stockton SCITT year with discovering that one of my greatest weaknesses actually was the strongest area of improvement for me. And being able to, towards the end of my year, reflect on that and see how far I'd come was truly an incredibly rewarding experience. So I chose Stockton SCITT because a few years ago I was actually working as a teaching assistant in a school in the local area, and I was quite interested in becoming a teacher, so I asked some of the staff members of the school if there might be a particularly good way to do that, and several members of staff around the school, including the head, all pointed to Stockton SCITT as my best option. That wasn't just because the school itself is a partner school, one of many. It's also because every member of staff in this school, including the head, who have worked with SCITT, have found it to be a really, really positive and rewarding experience, not just for the student teacher, but for everyone involved. And as a first impression, I felt like that was a really, really important one. It was important to me to know that as a trainee teacher, I'm not going to be getting underneath anyone's feet or getting in anyone's way, and that I'll be part of a network of people who are happy to have me there and willing to support me. And that was absolutely the experience I had with Stockton SCITT right the way through. Stockton SCITT prepared me for teaching firstly by offering a comprehensive curriculum. The various aspects of subject knowledge that they imparted to all of us, it was all done perfectly and in great depth, meaning we all felt like we knew the things that we needed to teach before going and actually teaching them, which for a lot of people is quite a that could be a point of contention going into teaching. Do I actually know everything that I need to know? You might not, and that's okay, because they will absolutely get you there with that. But more importantly, for all of the training days we had where they would give us all this information, we had so much time to go and put what we had learned into practice. And I do think that is really, really, really important, because knowing something is very different to having done it and having applied it. And constantly with SCITT, there are opportunities where each week you'll do maybe 1 week in the training centre, you'll then come out and have 4 days to take what you have learned there and apply it in school where it really matters. And there were plenty of times where I would be taught something new, shown how to do something, and I'd think, yeah, great, that looks simple enough, I can do that. And then you'd go to apply it and you'd actually find, there's quite a few things here that I hadn't already thought about. That's okay. That's part of the process, and it's what they equip you to deal with really, really well. So I think one of the reasons I felt very confident as I started as a teacher was because during that year of teacher training, I had spent a huge proportion of my time actually in school doing that thing.